Okay, let's hop on to this trend. Rural Africa in Zimbabwe. To be very honest, it's actually beautiful. Ever since I was a wee little lad, I stayed with my granddad and my grandma. And to this day, this is part of the reason why I'm not a mama's boy. I'm more of a grandma's boy, and I'm really proud of this little fact. So back then, me and a few of my friends, Gina, Rumbi and her sister Titi used to guard the garden against goats and cows, stopping them from eating all the vegetables and plantations we were growing. And this is literally like a full-time job because you go there early morning and would leave around 3 p.m. if not 4 p.m, around sunset. So the major difference is once we were there, we could do whatever we wanted, bro. And I sorta kinda was madly in love with Rumbi. This is one of the first girls I ever saw and was like, God, she's beautiful. But that's a story for another day. One day we were at the garden and we were playing hide and seek. And mind you, this is a pretty huge place for just 4 little kids. So there were plenty of places to hide, You could hide between the sweet potato beds, behind the little dam where we used to fetch water to water the plants. Like I said, a lot of places to hide. I was the first to seek and the first person I found was Gina, and then the rest of them followed. So it was obviously Gina's turn to, seek. Whilst he was counting, I had the ingenious idea to hide in the mango tree. It was full of thick leaves and it was honestly the perfect place one could hide. And Rumbi decided out of nowhere to follow me up, and we were grabbing holding each other pretty tight because we were both kind of afraid of heights, Gina eventually found us and tagged us both in, but this is where the real problem started. Me and Rumbi were unable to climb down. You know how easy it is to climb some place which is pretty high but then super difficult to go back to the ground? It was this kind of situation. So Gina came up to get us down since he was the oldest. The moment he went up, the branch we were on snapped and down we went. Also, don't worry, no one was hurt. But then again, this is where the story gets juicy. The branch of the tree that went down was kinda huge, and every single one of us was dead as dad can be afraid of my grandmother. And as soon as the branch went down, Gina was like, ding 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 ding, Shawnee and the Rumbi, you broke the tree, and grandmama is gonna have you. You see for dinner. Ding 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 ding. Apparently, my grandmother had a reputation of disciplining anyone who stepped out of line, and she was rumored that she caused the huge scar behind my mother's head. Apparently, she saw my mother as a kid sleeping when they were supposed to be digging out the weeds in the garden, and out of sheer anger, she picked up the nearest hole she could find and threw it towards her. Now, after hearing this story, I was scared, afraid, and looking for any means possible to get out of this horror situation that awaited me. Now, if you have lived anywhere near the rural areas, you know all the urban myths. Like, for example, if you eat a seedling, a tree is gonna grow from your stomach and you die. Although there's probably some truth to this one, because I know cows that eat bean seeds and drink water experience stomach issues. Or the other urban myths that if you're wearing a red clothing during a lightning storm, you're gonna get struck by lightning and die. However, for our situation, there was one which matched perfectly. If I took a small grass stem and placed it under my tongue, if or when my grandmother started beating the living crap out of me, I would instantaneously faint and hence stop the beating of my cute little buttocks. And the plan we had, we all placed the stem under our tongues and it was getting super late, so someone came to take us home. And once we got there, Gina told Granny what had happened. As Gina was telling her what had happened, I was looking at my grandmother's eyes with my eyes, which were nearly about to start dripping. I looked at her slightly as her facial expression changed. She started laughing because she knew the tree branch was on its last leg and it was bound to happen. Okay, she was just happy that no one was injured and relieved. So my rural area experience is a pretty good one. I had friends who tolerated me, I had a family left and right, and I was my granny's favorite. I had a good grandpuppy. I had a good father figure, my grandpa, who even though was old as hell at the time, he would take me with him to fix the hedge or get pillars for whatever he was working on at the time. He had this thing where if his bald head was sweating during his work, he would say, finally, a sign from the heavens that it's gonna rain today. My grandfather was the best. May God rest his eternal soul. My grandmother still lives and she's as amazing as always. Every time I go to her house, she's always amazing. She's always offering to wash my clothes, even my undies. Ah, what a great grandmother I have.